Hi, it's Michael, Kate and Sally. It's January 2021 and we're here talking about leadership and organizations. And what strikes me as being really interesting over the last 6 weeks, or certainly 4 weeks, has been that the narrative around the pandemic has been that it's almost over. You know, we got a vaccine, we've now got 2 vaccines, it's being rolled out in the UK, it's being rolled out around Europe and the rest of the world, and this is all going to end very soon. But yet we find ourselves in the first week of January in another lockdown with 50% of the people working from home, with no end in sight. It's not a lockdown for a couple of weeks. It's a lockdown for quite a while, we suspect. And what is interesting is, what does that mean for organizations? And that's what we want to talk about today. So what does this new situation we find ourselves in, this new reality of there is a vaccine, but actually we're still in lockdown, mean for us in organizations? So Kate, what are your thoughts about what organizations should be doing at the moment?
Yeah, well, I think organizations need to be thinking ahead, preparing for the future. But of course, before they can do that, before leaders can do that, there's something about taking a step back, as I often say, and doing some reflective practice, because a real learning organization that is going to grow and be prepared for the future needs to take some of the lessons from the past and learn from what's gone well, what has been put in place, so that we can take some of those effective new behaviours that were created as a result of the lockdown and the emergency that we found ourselves in, so that we can start to plan, you know, what can we do next to keep the momentum going and to make sure that we're thriving. So we noticed, didn't we, lots of organisations doing some really good things in the immediate aftermath of the first lockdown. And I'm wondering whether those good practices are still going. So it might be worth leaders to taking the time to stop, connect with each other, connect with their teams, and reflect on, so, you know, what worked for us, what didn't work for us, what do we want to take with us now into this next phase and into the new year, that will help us achieve our goals. So those are my thoughts. It's just about a little bit of stepping back first before we can step forward.
And actually, I think really important statements, that there is this reflection, this step back before we move forward piece that's going to be quite important to do. And so that we possibly don't repeat some of the stuff in the first part of the pandemic that didn't work, but actually we don't lose focus on stuff that did work. So some of that is about the social connections with people, the checking in to make sure people are okay, etc. Sally, what are your thoughts on where organizations should be at the moment and the role of leaders here?
Well, I'd like to just pick up on the point about reflective practice. Kate used the phrase lessons, and both of you will know I have a bit of a bugbear with this phrase lessons learned, because people often get themselves to a situation where they say lessons will be learned about that situation, but the situation has passed. We're right in it at the moment, and I actually think that it's the job of leaders to have the courage and to pause long enough, as Kate has said, to actually say, we're right in the middle of this now, and organisations have done exceptionally well to keep going and in some cases actually thrive. And therefore there's the opportunity for leaders to be asking, you know, being really curious of people and saying what worked well in 2020 that we want to take forward now into 2021. And I remember that Tony Schwartz many years ago coined the phrase that CEOs were chief energy officers. And I was reminded of that recently. I thought that's a great reminder that if we see leaders, or we encourage leaders to see themselves as chief energy officers, then actually maybe their job is to encourage people to think about what went well from 2020 they're going to bring forward, but also most importantly to go back to that rallying cry. You know, what's the purpose of the team? What's the purpose of this organization? How can they rally people around that to, you know, re-energize people as we get ready to, you know, to go forward into 2021? So I recognize fully that people are very tired. It's been a tough year, but actually a tremendous number of really positive things came out of last year. And I think the responsibility of leaders is to be that chief energy officer, you know, reflecting, taking forward the best of last year and rallying people, you know, ready to keep going.
But it's rallying people with no certainty, isn't it? And that's the really interesting point. It's the ability to rally people where you're talking about clarity of purpose, clarity of mission, rather than certainty about what we're going to do. And that's linking back, I think, probably to our first ever video that we did way back in April, May time. So there you are, folks. Short and simple. It's January 2021. It is time to reflect, time to think, time to rally. But above all, for me, it's about accepting that this isn't over. And the real job of leaders now is to get people together and keep the organization going, keep the spirit going, because this is going to be around for quite a while. I'm genuinely hoping that when we get to January 2025, we're still not talking about this pandemic. But hey, that's 4 years away, and let's see. Stay safe, look after yourself, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care. Bye-bye.